going to show you how to make a water bottle emergency kit. This is great to have on hand in case you were ever stranded on the highway or had an incident in your vehicle. It's small enough that you can tuck it into a cup holder somewhere in your vehicle or store it in your glove compartment for easy access. So let's first start off with the bottle. I made two different types of bottles. This one is from the Dollar Tree. I wanted to show what you could do with an easily accessible, inexpensive water bottle, a standard size that just about everybody's going to be able to find. This one was a little bit larger. I got this at a thrift store, so I could pack even more stuff in this. I won't spend as much time on this later, but I just want to put that into comparison. The larger the water bottles you get, the more you're going to be able to pack into it. So let's start with this Dollar Tree water bottle. So like I said, this is plastic from the Dollar Tree. I think it's one of the smallest size water bottles that they had. It was important for me to pick this one because it does have a small, narrow base, which meant that it can fit into most cup holders. Once you get larger, it's not going to fit into a cup holder, which may be fine if you don't intend on putting it in a cup holder. So underneath the cap, I just picked up this cap and put in some paracord. There wasn't really any room to put it inside. So paracord is important because it can tie off things, like secure things. You can even unravel paracord at the end, and it's going to have multiple little strings in there that you can use. Let me get you an example of that. So when you cut the end of the paracord or the outer off, you're going to have all of these smaller ropes or threads in there. And so you can like instantly, I don't know how many there are, 5 times more thread and small thin rope than you would have in just this one big piece. Now this can be used to make a tent, like this, do a tent type structure, all kinds of different things. You won't have an emergency kit without paracord. So that was the best place to put it, was to just wrap it up and loop it in there. You could also loop it around the water bottle. Again, there wasn't much ability for me to do that, keeping this open to put it in a cup holder, but you certainly can do that. I also added a bandana. I made sure to put this in a safety color, so bright orange. You could also do like a bright yellow or something like this. This is a simple bandana that I bought at Hobby Lobby. This is 99 cents. And just wrapped that around. A bandana is great because it has a multitude of uses. So if you get a good like cotton one that's not too silky or made with like, I don't know, kind of weird material, this can be a great water pre-filter. If you had to gather water from like a stream or something, you could put it through the bandana to catch all the debris before you had to purify it. This is also a great signal. You can, because of this color, you could put it on an antenna, you could put it in the window. This is just a great way, and kind of like a universal way. This orange means help. So that is great to have. You could also use it to cover a wound. There is just so many ways that you want to use a bandana. Now we're going to open it up. So let's take the top off, and one of the first things that you're going to see is some cash. If the grid goes down, if credit cards aren't working, cash is always going to be super important. Also, even if credit cards are working and you need something, it's just always nice to have cash on hand. And next thing that we're going to pull out is one of these tiny little plastic bags. I will put a link to these little plastic bags. Found these on Amazon, got like 100 of them for super cheap, and they come in so handy. They're supposed to be little pill bags, but they come in so handy for holding tiny little things in emergency kits. So let's open up that bag. You got one hard candy, always important to have like some sugar, some sustenance. This isn't going to go far, but it helps. And you also want it to be a hard candy, not chocolate, nothing that's going to melt. This would be important, especially if you might be having some blood sugar issues and need like a quick jolt of sugar. Also have a pack of sugar in there. So that is You know, if you need a sweet treat, there's nothing wrong with just dipping your finger in a thing of sugar. You know, who knows? I also have some iodized salt. So the salt could be used to flavor some food if you needed to. It can also, salt can be a great disinfectant. You would need to put this with a little bit of purified water. And there's not a whole lot of salt in here, so it would be a pretty small little dilution. But you could, in a pinch, make a natural disinfectant by adding salt to some purified water. And then I put in some safety pins because you just never know when you're going to need safety pins. They always are great, and they're super small to include. So let's go ahead and pull out the flashlight from the middle. That'll make everything else come out a little easier. Obviously, a light is great. These are like one of those small types that you can get at Harbor Freight or just about anywhere. Put a battery in there, or you could put the battery separately and put that in one of these little plastic bags so that they don't corrode and it keeps it fresh. If you do keep a battery in here, you might just want to put a reminder like every few months to check the battery in this kit and possibly replace it if needed. So now coming in and getting even more things out. Get some of this big stuff out. It's amazing what you can fit in this tiny little water bottle. So this is an emergency blanket. This can be obviously used to keep you warm if you are stranded in your vehicle overnight, especially in bad weather. You would definitely want something that would keep you warm. This could also be a great layer on the ground if you were sleeping outside and you wanted something that was waterproof. Then this could be put on the ground. This can also be used with the paracord in order to make a makeshift tent. Could also be used to collect water if you were to spread it out and collect dew, and then you could kind of funnel that into your water bottle and have drinkable water. So multiple uses for an emergency blanket. I find that when you buy multi-packs of these, they're definitely much more affordable. I'll put a link in the description below to the ones that I got. All right, so hand sanitizer. You want tiny little packs like this rather than a big pack of wipes. Obviously, for disinfecting, the alcohol in this can also be used as to help with fire starting. A whistle is oh so important. Be sure to get one that is slim lined, and because you can buy them but bigger than this. And I always suggest making sure that they work. I've gotten some and tried them out, and I was just like, in an emergency, there's no way that is going to be heard. So just whatever you do, make sure that you try it out. Another tiny little bag of things. Now, this is a very small emergency medical kit. So I put some ibuprofen in there, and I made sure to write on it what it is. These are also some individually wrapped packets of Benadryl. So the ibuprofen is important, obviously, for pain relieving. The Benadryl is important for allergic reactions, especially if you were to have to be outside and you might have like insect bites or stings. You want to have some of that on hand just to help out with any allergic reactions. This is one of the other larger things in this bottle, so let's go ahead and get this out. This is a rain poncho. Always important, because if you have to be outside in nasty weather and you don't have a rain poncho, you're going to be miserable. This was one that I just wrapped up really tightly. Put some rubber bands around it to compress it and get the air out. Rubber bands are also obviously great to always have in an emergency kit. Again, these are one of those things that is cheaper to buy in bulk rather than individually. And you do want to find ones that aren't going to take a whole lot of room. Now, in addition to this being great for inclement weather, this is also a waterproof layer. So this could be put on the ground as well to protect from a wet ground. It could also be used to collect rainwater and things like that. So a large piece of plastic is always good to have on hand, even if it's not rainy weather. All right. Have a disposable glove, because in case of a medical emergency, or if you are having to clean up something, like even oil or something like that. Always good to have on hand. And then I included a glow stick. I made sure to choose the safety orange, or at least choose a color that is going to be indicative of emergencies. This is something that can be used and put outside the vehicle to alert that you are there, you know, especially if you don't have lights on, just kind of a warning that there is a vehicle there. You could also walk with this as a light source. So this is another light source. All right, now we have water purifier. There are a variety of different types of water purification things that you can do. I got these because they were individually wrapped. It was thin line. Could go into a water bottle. You can also get the tablets. You can buy them and put them in your own tiny little bags, or you can buy them pre-packaged into individual servings. I know that this is going to purify more water than this water bottle is going to hold, but in an emergency, this is going to be like the best situation, and I'll just try to, I don't know, try to ration it out or figure out the dimensions of how much of this to use with how much of water. But anyways, always want to have a water purification. In an emergency situation in your car, like you're probably not going to have that much water, so you might need to go to a stream or something and get some. So super, super important to have that. All right, another thing, waterproof matches. You can put as many in as you want. Now, waterproof matches are super expensive. I found a great way to waterproof them is to dip the heads in nail polish, or you could dip it in like some melted candle wax and allow to dry. So that is your way of making waterproof matches. All right, another thing, I have a water flavoring packet. This is the True Lemon. If you are doing filtered water, it might not have a taste that you like, so this could hide the taste. Also, if you were in a situation where you just wanted something with flavor, you were drinking a lot of water, maybe you didn't have a lot of food, but you had water, this would definitely add some flavor to what you were consuming. So this is going to be some foil that I put in. Never know when you might need foil because this is a small bottle and this is not stainless steel. In an ideal world, you would want this to be single layer stainless steel so that you could boil water in it. But this is a Dollar Tree plastic water bottle and we're going with that. So put some foil in here. This is something that can be fashioned into a cup, can be fashioned into a bowl, or which could then obviously be used as a pot over an open fire. You'd have to be really careful, but at least you could do that. There's all kinds of uses for foil because it is so thin and can be molded. It's just a really good idea to add a few layers and put that into the bottle. Let's see, what else can we, all right. So I've got a ton of zip ties. They're all different sizes. They'll be down there. I'll probably be pulling those out for a minute. These zip ties can be used in a variety of ways, definitely to secure things. I found a huge pack at Dollar Tree for obviously $1.25, and I'm gonna have to get the rest of those out in a minute. I only used a few of them in this, and so you can get one pack and put just tons of zip ties in, and it would only cost just, you know, a few cents. So those are always important to have, and they're so thin that they can go into the small spaces in the water bottle. Now, I also did take this out. This is a pack of tissues, obviously wrapped in a rubber band again to compress the air out. Tissues are important because if you got to go to the bathroom, this is makeshift toilet paper. Obviously, it can be great in cleaning up any messes, whether that's medical or anything else. All right, so the rest of the stuff is a little bit small to be getting out, so let's just dump that out. Still even more in there that I'll get. So some more of these zip ties. And then this might be one of my favorite things that I found for these water bottles. This is a tiny little knife. So you just do that and you have a knife. I did not think that this was going to work as well as it does. It is pretty sharp. And I wanted to show you how it comes packaged in this little tin can. So I love this little container. That could also be a tiny little emergency kit that you can put somewhere, but it comes wrapped up in its own bag, which again, these bags can be used for all the little situations that I've already used bags. Another small bag, and this is the key ring. I'm going to go ahead and put this key ring on there so it's just easier to find. But just the whole system is pretty good, and it wasn't as expensive. It was definitely under $10. I think it was much less than that. But for this size, you can see in relation to my hand, it is always good to have some sort of knife or scissors at least on hand. And this is among the smallest ones that I've been able to find. So that is definitely a great idea. Now with all this other stuff, I had another zip tie, paper clips because they take up no room. And again, you never know. You could also unbend this paper clip and use that as something else, you know, so they are bendable, which makes those good. You have a pen, which is oh so important for some of the things I'm going to show you in a minute, to jot down notes and to do like some entertainment things. So always good to have a pen. I put in a tiny thing of instant coffee. Even if you don't drink coffee, you might want to have one of these in there. If you're a coffee drinker, this is something that you can just add to hot water, and you would probably boil it with the matches and the foil. It's also a great source of caffeine. So even if you don't think that you are a coffee drinker, you might need that caffeine in an emergency situation, and always good to have some of that on hand. You could also substitute this with a tea bag if you'd like. And then some Band-Aids to put in there because, again, part of your medical kit. So I still have even more stuff in here. Let me see if I can get those out. All right, get that out in a minute. This is another alcohol, or another part of your medical kit, an alcohol prep pad. Not only does it work for sanitizing, also in a pinch can be used as a fire starter with the alcohol in there. Okay, so I've emptied out the water bottle completely. I forgot to mention that I wrapped duct tape around the top. This was underneath the bandana. Totally forgot to mention that because it blended in. Duct tape is obviously good to have in so many situations. And so I just wrapped it around and around. At the end, is this the end? I made sure to just tuck under those edges so that when it comes time to use it, it's easy to find that edge and start ripping. You certainly don't want to have it be hard to get the duct tape off in an emergency situation. All right, so inside, and I had these wrapped around inside. I have 2 zip top bags. These are great for a variety of reasons. They can be used for water collection if you need to go somewhere and get water. These can also be used for some medical things. So whether or not it's bandages and stuff that you might want to put in a trash can, you know, this is a general trash can. This is a pee bag in a pinch. If you gotta have a bathroom, you can put it into the bag. Your wipes that you might use, put it into the bag as a trash bag. That way all of this stuff is contained and sealed off. So all kinds of uses for those plastic bags. Oops. So now in an emergency situation, boredom might be one of your issues. So I put in a game. This is just a page from a crossword puzzle book. It has 2 games on there. That's why the pen is in there as well. So this can keep your mind off of things. Also, when you're done using it, it can be used to help start a fire as a fire starter. Also put in just some normal paper. This is just ripped off of a notebook that I had, a couple pages. If you leave your vehicle, you need to leave a note and say where you were going. If you need to jot down important information, license plate numbers, contact information, in case of something like that, an emergency, and you need to jot down somebody's address, license number, license plate number, all of that. So always important to have some paper on hand and that pen. Now, these are things that I have created to add to these water bottles. And I have a whole printable list that I will put a link below. And you can print and cut these out. So this is going to be a list of what's inside. And this is going to be everything that you have found or that I have shown in this specific water bottle. You could always write on additions that you might add or mark out things that you might not have included. But that was the easiest way to have just a standard list as to what would fit into this standard size Dollar Tree water bottle. So that is always important because you don't want somebody to be having to take everything out of this bottle to then try to get it back in again in an emergency situation if they don't know what's in it. And not everything's going to be a dire emergency. It might just be something where, you know, you miss something when you're out and you're just like, hey, is that happen be in that kit? And so this is something that you could tape outside or at least put it to where it's facing outside so it can be read from the water bottle. Now, I also do have a list of like the alternate ways of using some of this stuff. Again, other people, if you give these kits to somebody, they might not understand the value in these items. Also, in a state of shock, you might be forgetting it yourself. So there is that printable list. And then obviously, emergency phone numbers and addresses always important to have on hand. You never know, your cell phone might not always be working for contact information, so just jot down all that important stuff. I will have a link to this free download in the description and first pinned comment below. So these are some of those lists that I had in there. And then finally, hot hands. No matter what climate you're in, you need to have these, at least one of these. This can be something that would keep you warm overnight. And it's also like, you know, if you are in shock for whatever reason, you might be shivering and you might be cold, even if you are in a hot climate. So this is something, it does take up a decent amount of room, but it's super important, especially if you live in cold weather. These can also be found at the Dollar Tree as well. You can also buy multi-packs, but super important to have this. So that is everything that fit into one of the smallest water bottles that I could find at the Dollar Tree. Obviously, bigger can hold more. I'm going to show you a little bit of what's in the little bit bigger water bottle that I found for 50 cents at a thrift store. So this bigger one, I just wrapped up the bandana and put it through the loop, and then just kind of put it around the top of the water bottle. So we'll unscrew the top. We'll go through this one a little bit more quickly because a lot of it is the same. So we have some cash. This one I was able to put the, well, let's just go ahead and get that flashlight out again. That is up top. I put the paracord inside this water bottle. I also put a rubber band around it because, again, you never know how many rubber bands you might need. So this one also has just a couple more pieces of candy. You got the paper clips. I think I added like another thing of sugar. So it's pretty much the same as before. We got some waterproof matches. All right, True Lemon. Let's see, I added a gauze pad in this one because I had a little bit more room. Let's see, some duct tape. Instead of putting it around the outside, I put it inside. Again, you could easily put the duct tape on the outside of this and it would be fine. So I had some nitrile gloves in this one, and there is a glow stick. I put the glow sticks in the gloves just in case they were to break apart and there would be any leakage. Let me go ahead and dump this out rather than you watching me pick everything out, and I'll show you what else is in there. Everything that could fit in the smaller one is also in here. So the hand sanitizer, Band-Aids, you've got the emergency blanket, hot hands. Okay, so this one, I was able to put the coffee in. In addition, I also put in a tea bag just for another extra flavored water. I also was able to put in an individually wrapped wipe. That could be something that is used as a makeshift shower. Also just cleaning the hands without needing to disinfect. Had the tissues. This is the medical. So I use a bit of a different whistle on this one. It is larger, but it does have a lanyard or necklace, you know, however you want to say that. So, and again, safety orange. So there's just a little bit of a different whistle. pen and zip ties. Put a carabiner in this one because you just never know. This one also has the alcohol wipes. I added a couple of them rather than just one. And then finally, and then there was water purification in here as well. And then finally, super glue, because you just never know when you can use something like this. This surprisingly is a good wound closure in an emergency as well. So obviously good to have some super glue. I actually had more room available in this bottle. Obviously I have a knife. I just forgot to put that in there. I wanted to put a multi-tool in here, so I just didn't find that in time, but that if it was a small enough like Swiss Army knife, I could have easily fit this inside. And then finally, some variations. You can find even bigger water bottles. This was also Dollar Tree. You can pack some serious stuff in this one. Obviously, it's not going to fit in the cup holder, so that's why I didn't include it. But this would be really great if you don't intend on putting these in a cup holder. If you just want to have it in your vehicle, you can pack so much stuff. These are also some alternate types of flashlights that you can get. These would not fit into the top of the water bottles that I used, but this is also a good choice if you want to have one. You can't replace really the batteries on this, but it might be something good to have in a larger water bottle. Now, I also wanted to mention, when I was thinking about making an even larger water bottle one, so I went looking for something that could power your phone if you ran out of power. This was about the best thing that I could find, and it is so interesting because this is a power source. It can charge probably, I don't know, at least 2 times, I think. So this is small enough that you could put it inside something large, a large enough mouth water bottle. I would just have a notation on your calendar to be sure to have this charged like every month or every couple months and make sure that it's holding its charge. But this would be invaluable, like really great to put inside some of these kits. Also, I highly suggest putting in a bottle, a mini travel size bottle of vodka, not flavored vodka, not any of the other stuff, but just pure vodka, because this is a great wound cleaner. That would be great in a medical emergency. It doesn't freeze, so you don't have to worry about it freezing if you live in a cold climate. It's also obviously a morale booster. So this would be something that would be interesting to put inside something larger. And then instead of traditional duct tape, you could always choose to get some safety orange duct tape. That would also work to wrap around or to include in any of these kits.